Hello students, how are you? I hope you are doing well and staying safe in this lockdown. Uh, we are going to start a new chapter today, and the chapter is chapter 3, metals and non-metals. Metals and non-metals. Now see, you know what is element, alright? Elements are the substances which are made up of only one type of atoms. And there are almost 118 elements discovered till now. So, of all the elements, all the elements are divided into either metals or non-metals. Alright? And there are some elements which have the characteristic of metals as well as non-metals. So, they are called metalloids. They are called metalloid. So anyway, so all the elements that we have is either metal or non-metal. So there are few elements which have the characteristics of both, that is metal and non-metal. They are called metalloids. So today we'll be concentrating only on metals. Alright. Now the metals are the elements, those elements which forms positive ion. Positive ion, you know, positive ion is a cation. So those atoms which has the ability to form cation, they are considered to be metals. Alright, I'll give you simple example like calcium. They form cation, positive ion. Sodium, they form positive ion. So calcium, sodium, or gold, silver, they are all metals. So did you understood? Like the metals are the elements or the substances which forms the positive ion. Alright, and then we'll be doing the characteristics. Characteristics of metals. Now I told you yesterday that there are two characteristics. One is physical characteristic and another one is chemical characteristics. Now we'll be doing the physical characteristics of metal. Now we'll do the physical characteristics of metal. Okay, I have one example of metal here. I got this at home. Okay, so this is metal. So you know clearly this is metal. So by just seeing this, okay, we can get the physical characteristics of metal. Right? Now metals are usually hard. They're usually hard. So number one physical characteristic of metal is it is hardness. Okay, most of the metals are usually hard. All right, and then you can see the luster here. Luster, it shines. Most of the metals shine. That's why another characteristic of metal is luster. Luster, they shine, right? And number three is metals are ductile. Ductile means the metals can be bitten into wires. Okay, so metals are ductile. Understood what is ductile? Like I have my earrings here. My earrings here. So this is also metal. Alright, this is also metal, and the wire is formed here. See, wire, thin wire. So metal can be converted into wires. That character is called ductile or it is called ductile. Alright, so I'll just put it on. So the metals, another character of metal is it is ductile. Alright, now the next characteristic feature of metal is malleable or malleability. Okay, now what is malleability? Metals can be beaten into thin sheets. Alright, metals can be beaten into thin sheets. Let's take the example of this plate. Okay, this metal is beaten into thin sheets, see, and it forms the plate. So if you heat it, it can be converted into another shape also. Alright, so anyway, metals can be beaten into thin sheet. The best example is plates. So another characteristic feature of metal is malleability. Now next is number 5 is metal is a very good conductor of heat. Metals are usually very good conductors of heat. That means they transfer heat. Alright, like let's take the example of ladle or pannu made up of metal. If you just keep it, when you cook it and you just leave it like that, you cannot hold that pannu because it becomes very hot. That is because the heat is transferred in the pannu or the ladle. Okay, and that shows that metals are very good conductors of heat. Okay, other examples are all the utensils that we have in our houses, dekchi, kada and all, we put it on the fire or the gas. Okay, it conducts heat. Alright, so metals are very good conductors of heat. Okay, now another thing is metals are very good conductors of electricity also. Number 6, good conductors of electricity. That means metal passes on the electric current. That's why the wire that we have is mostly made up of copper. Okay, because it is a good conductor of electricity. Alright, and plastic is very bad conductor of electricity. That's why all the iron that we have, we put electric iron and all, it has that plastic cover so that the electric current is not passed to us. Alright, so another example is the tester. The part of the tester which we put inside the socket is made up of metal, and the part where we hold is made up of plastic. Okay, so these examples show that metals are very good conductor of electricity. Alright, now the next is number 7 is metal usually has very high melting point and boiling point. High melting point and boiling point. Okay, metals have very high melting point and boiling point. Alright, except there are some metals like gallium. Okay, gallium, if you put it in your hand, they melt there only. So except that, okay, other metals usually have high melting point and boiling point. And I want to tell you, tungsten has the highest melting point. Alright, tungsten is a metal which has highest boiling point. Clear? Okay, now last part, physical characteristic of metal is the metals are sonorous. Now what is sonorous? Sonorous is they produce a kind of sound when you just hit a metal. Okay, they produce that a typical sound. Okay, all the metals are sonorous. Like let's take the example of the bell we have in a school. Okay, the bell is made up of metal. That's why it can be heard. It has a kind of sound. All right, so metals are usually sonorous. Let's take the example of this. So if I just it produces that sound. So most of the metals, not most, all the metals are sonorous. All right, so these are the physical characteristics of metal. Physical characteristic, I'm telling you, physical characteristics, I told you yesterday also. Observable characteristics. So if you see these characteristics in any substance, so that is metal. All right, so these are the physical characteristics of metal. Thank you.